ladies and gentlemen. My name is Orlando Valido, Oli Valido, Pimpoli, that they call me here on YouTube. It's 8:30 p.m. August 20 to 2025, and the temperature is here in Miami area. It's 80 degrees still. Well, still 80 degrees at night at this time, 8:30. Okay, I'm going to talk about another contribution artist. She's a female, and from the old timer, and I'm going to put the picture for you, and I'm going to read the autobiography for you guys. Please subscribe, like, and share. Please like, subscribe, share. That will help me a lot on my channel. Here's the first picture of this lady, the second picture of this lady, and the name of it, Jan Howard, March 13, 1929 to March 28, 2020. And I will read her autobiography in 1 minute. Okay, here we go with the autobiography of Jan Howard. Jan Howard, born as Laura Grace Johnson, March 13, 1929 to March 28, 2020, was an American actor, country music singer, songwriter. As a singer, she has played 30 singles on the Billboard Country Song chart, was a Grand Ole Opry member, and was nominated for several major awards. As a writer, she also wrote poems, published in the autobiography. She was married to country songwriter Harlan Howard. So she was married to him, Harlan Howard, who also was a country music songwriter, believe me or not. Howard was mostly raised in West Plains, Missouri, and the family moved to various homes during her childhood, marrying her in her teens. However, her husband relocated to various times, including Colorado, Kansas, Illinois, Missouri. She took several part-time jobs to support her growing family, which include 3 children. Howard divorced her first husband in 1953. She met and married a second husband that same year, moving to a military base. The couple had her 3 children lived in a suburban lifestyle. In 1955, Howard discovered that she was bigamous, Bigamist. She was settled with her children in Los Angeles, California. In 1957, she met and married Howard or Harlan Howard. But said in the early of their marriage, he discovered that she could sing. While interested, impressed by her voice, Harlan arranged for her to record a demonstration tape. This tape was heard by other country music artists and led her to her first recording contract with the Challenger Records. Howard had her first major country hit in the 1960s with The One You Sleep Around With. The One You Sleep Around With. Her husband's songwriting became more successful. Howard's recording career followed suit. She had her biggest success after signing with the Decca Records. Howard major hit with single Evil on Your Mind. Yeah, Evil on Your Mind in 1966. And My Son in 1968. She also had several hits after teaming up with Bill Anderson, including the #1 hit for Loving You. In 1967, the pair continued to recording and touring together until the mid-1970s. 1973, the two of Howard's children had died and she divorced Helen Howard. In a depressive state, she nearly gave up her career upon the encouragement of the performer. She released several more albums and the single into the 1980s. At the same time, she began devoting time to their interests, including writing. In 1987, publishing her best-selling autobiography entitled Sunshine Shadows. She also started writing poems and short stories and women acting into the way, including regular appearances on the Grand Opry. She also worked with the United States military veterans through the various programs she donated to charity and spoke at fundraisers. A fundraiser, yeah. It's so sad to hear that the two children died and she got depressed about it. I don't blame her. I don't blame anybody for going through the hard time. Yeah, unfortunately. Okay, here we go with early life, 1929, 1945, childhood teenage years. Lula Grace Johnson was born in West Plains, Missouri, the daughter of Lanny and Rhoda. Lanny will be Linnie, Lenny. Rhoda will be R-O-L-A, Johnson. She was the eighth of the 11 children of that family, including two siblings who died before the age of 2. Her mother was a nurse assistant who took care of the elderly people at the family house. Her father was Wes Manson, who received employment assistance from the Work of Progress Administration during the Great Depression. Yeah, the Great Depression. The family moved frequently for her childhood for her father to sustain employment. They lived in various Midwest communities, including Kansas City, Bright Tree, BRICH Tree, and Oklahoma City. The family briefly returned to West Plains when Lula was 8 years old. Upon her return, she was raped by the family friend. Oh my God. My body was violated and my mind was damaged in a way. I wasn't to know the full extent of this year to come. She wrote in her 1987 autobiography, the abuse was kept secret from her family into the years to come. This is messed up, really messed up, being raped by her own member of her family. This is sick and crazy. Because her family moved by frequency, Lula attended schools sporadically during her childhood. It means sometimes yes, sometimes no. Most of the buildings were one-room school buses that were converted into churches on Sunday. At the time of the atrocity, TRUANCY office will be gone by Johnson Home, forcing Lula to return to school. Lula's mother separated from her father in 1943, returning the children to West Plains to help support the family of Lula who worked as a dishwasher in a local cafe. I believe it, because the cafe owner could not afford to pay her. She gave Howard family food for a weekly meal. She then took a job at a drugstore at the age of 16 years old. In 1945, she married Mel Wood, subsequently dropped out of high school. Wood enrolled in the military after their marriage, and the couple was settled in Waynesville, Missouri, and the first home together. They share a house with another military couple. She briefly returned to her parents' house after discovering Wood was engaging in an affair. Oh wow, that's another bad one for her. However, when Wood was restationed in Little Rock, Arkansas, Howard returned with him in a new location at that time. 1946, 1957, early adulthood. Lula gave birth to 3 sons between the late 1930 and early 1950, and the young family continued to move as Woods took on various jobs attempting to start a university coursework as a teacher. One of the first residents was a college campus in Pittsburgh, Kansas. Pittsburgh, Kansas. After Wood was informed of a better university to study teaching, he moved the family to Greeley, Colorado. Lula claimed the Wood refused to hold a job and with the small children. The family had little money to survive on, which resulted in Lula asking Wood to parent for money. In addition to her family rented a trailer, caught on fire in the middle of the night. Wow. Lula and her children returned to Missouri following the fire, while her husband stayed in the university. Wood then dropped out of the college, but found a job in public school as a teacher in the rural farm community of Dora, Missouri. The family then rented a 3-home house with limited amenities. However, after Lula's younger son developed pneumonia, they moved to a home closer to Dora downtown neighborhood. Wood then brought his wife and children to Cairo, Illinois, where they planned to work as a canning factory. After Lula discovered this plague condition in Cairo, she and her children left. Wood then moved to his family to Sunflower, Kansas. Yes, where he started a public high school. Wood was the father after engaging in an affair with another teacher. After getting a new job repairing railroad tracks, Wood moved the family to Vernonia, Kansas. Vernonia, Kansas. Yet Wood was often missing a home and spent most of his income. Lula and her children, and then abandoned that apartment after the landlord threatened eviction with when her car Lula was driving and ran out of fuel. Lula pulled over into a residential home where the elderly couple took her and her children in for several weeks. After asking for money, the family returned back to her family home. Lula and her husband both were reunited, and they were planned after her obtaining a new teaching position. However, would quit the job when he decided to move again. Lula refused, and according to Lula, Wood was agreed by her refusal. A hurt butt teacher knife, and her a budget, BUTCHER knife, at her throat, at the throat, In response to his action, were interrupted when a friend knocked on the front door at their home. Lula and her three sons fled to her family in Oklahoma that same day. Lula Wood divorced in 1953. I can't believe what this woman going through, what this family going through. This is really, really amazing, guys. Lula and her children, they moved with her brother near Columbus, Ohio. She then married her brother's friend and the U.S. Sergeant Lois Smith. Smith moved Lula and her children to a local military housing and got the job at the tea room of the Morehouse Fashion Department Store. Yeah. Morehouse Fashion Department Store, once again. Lula then gave birth to a couple child in 1954 who died shortly after birth due to complications of cerebral hemorrhage. Smith was then transferred to Wartburg, Missouri, where the couple rented a 3-bedroom home in the suburban community. In Missouri, Lula became pregnant again but miscarried the child. Oh my God. Shortly after that, the miscarriage was transferred to the Panama Canal Zone, that's in Panama. And informed Lula he would send her once he was settled. After not hearing from Smith, she received a letter in the mail informing her that Smith's first wife never actually filed for divorce and reunited with her wife, and his marriage to Lula was annulled in 1955. Man, I cannot believe this story. I cannot believe all this backlash of this woman. It's amazing. Lula decided to make a new story in Gardena, California. In 1955, after following Smith's wedding ring for $25, Lula and her two children took a bus out to California. She then worked in a series of low-wage jobs including coastal waiters as a waitress, and the man club, writing her book. I must have had 30 jobs in a day, despite not being able to type or take a shorthand. Lula obtained a secretary position. Her friend was dating her country artist, Wayne Stewart. Okay, I know this guy too. Wayne Stewart, who introduced Lula into her friend, aspiring songwriter Helen Howard, and the couple then married 30 days after their meeting in 1957. Singing career in 1958-1963, early success. Lula would often sing to herself while attending to a domestic duty, but was too shy to sing in front of other people. Along her kitchen, one day Lula was singing when she was heard by her husband, who was impressed by the singing skill. "I didn't know you could sing," he told her, and then he convinced Lula to record a demonstration tape of a newly composed song, "Mommy for a Day." And the demo was later heard by Kitty Walls, who recorded on her own version and made it to a U.S. country chart in 1958. Howard then brought his wife to Bakersfield, California to record a demo record of his song. Among them was "Pick Me Up on Your Way Down," a song heard by Charlie Walker, whose version also became the U.S. country radio success. Howard also believed that his wife could have her own country music recording career. With his encouragement, Lula was a Wayne Stewart recorded demo of the song "Yankee Go Home." Howard then brought it into John Johnson, challenging record, who Stewart was recording for. However, Howard told Johnson he could take the song into a sign wife into to sign his wife into, as she was officially signed with the challenging label, and the label then changed her name from Lula to Jan. Under the name Jan Howard, her own version of "Pick Me Up on Your Way Down" was released, her debut single, in 1958. And now we know why they picked Jan as a musical career name. That was the why. Okay, Jan and Wayne Stewart duo of "Yankee Go Home" was released as a single by challenging label record in 1959, was followed by the second duo single in 1960, "Wrong Company." The later reached the top 30 and the U.S. Billboard Country Song charts. Her recent success prompted George Johnson to release a solo single called "The One You Sleep Around With." Penny Howard, or Helen Howard, first the owner, and the song rose into the U.S. Country Top 15 in 1960. Its success brought Jan the most promising country female award from the Billboard and the youth-backed operator and magazine. Jan Stewart then embarked into a 3-day tour in Lubbock, Texas, and appeared in the town hall party California television program with Harlem songwriting career gaining momentum. The Howard received a royalty check on a regular basis, and the income financed the Howard move to Nashville, Tennessee in the 1960s. The 1960. By then, Jan was still battling shyness. Despite having a recording career, she had trouble following backing band and stage fright caused her often to lose her pitch. She also received anonymous phone calls from people who mocked her performer ability. Jan's fear of her peer resulted in leaving the performer right after doing her lot. Well, yeah, this was often the case with the initial Grand Opry performer. After watching Patsy Line perform on the Opry, Jan was confronted by Line, who thought she was considerate for not communicating with her. After the pushback, Line laughed at the incident, and then the pair became close friends. Jan would record the demo for Line or fall to pieces. Also, the song was a promise to Jan by her husband, who co-wrote with her with Hank Cochran, Cochran, was given a slightly acclaim in the belief that he would sell more copies than Jan's version. Because the Howard family owned the IRS $20,000 in back taxes. Yes. Jan began touring and booking agent Herbert Long organized the tour dates. She started appearing in the package show alongside Young Carey, Kitty Davis, Seker Davis, Joyce John, book owner Farron Young, believe me or not. Without her approval, Jan's talented recording contract was bought by Capitol Records, discovering that $500,000 would be paid out to her royalty. She went before the court judge who sided with her. However, after having an argument with her husband about the contract, she ultimately agreed to drop the legal battle. According to Jan, her first Capitol session with unnamed producer was a disaster. Frustrated, she contacted Ken Nelson, who agreed to produce her in Los Angeles, California Capitol Marketing Division. Steer Jan music toward the pop market, which resulted in her recording several pop covers. From this session, Howard's debut studio album was released in 1962 called Sweet and Sentimental, yeah. And she recorded for Capitol through 1963, yet only had one U.S. country charting single cover. I wish I was single again, girl. Again. I wish I was single girl again. Yeah, everybody would, even men do. I wish I was a single boy too. Everybody had that wish once in their lifetime, I believe. Everybody do, I guess. Okay, let's go here. With 1964-1972 big commercial success. Jan left the Capitol Recording contract in 1964, but continued touring. Instead of having her own band, she often relied on her house band who were unfamiliar with her music, so she could avoid having to pay for additional expenses. Provide her an income of 500 to 600 per year. The Howard also started their own publishing company called, excuse me for that, Wilderness Musical set up in Nashville, Tennessee. During the period, Highland then informed his wife, the owner, Budley, of Decca Record was interested in signing her after Howard made a demo of 4 songs presented to Budley. Jan signed with a label. Among the 4 demos was Alan Self-Pain, What Makes a Man Wonder. What Makes a Man Wonder. When officially released the single of Decca label, he wrote into a U.S. country song top 30 in 1965. According to Jan, Budley had a hard time separating her musical style from her Decca contempo. Brenda Lee and Loretta Lynn, which it caused her to follow up single to fail. The pair found another Highland Pain tune called Evil on Your Mind, released on the single, rose to number 5 on the position on the U.S. country song charts in 1966, and ultimately became Jan's highest-peaking solo release and the Grammy-nominated single, and become identified as a signature song. Jan's career later served as the title track for her U.S. country top 10 LP. Jan and Howard sang Evil on Your Mind. The success of Evil on Your Mind led to increased demand on Jan booking. In 1966, she played a package tour that ended in California and Hollywood Bowl, and another in Detroit, Michigan, attracted a rarely 24,000 people, and Decca also continued recording Jan. She became increasingly identified with a song portraying women as sensitive role, ASSERTIVE role, occasionally featuring a lyric by her husband. Examples such as songs include the next single, Bad Seed, SEED, which resulted in U.S. country songs top 10. Other recordings with similar theme include in the 1967 U.S. top country 40 song, Any Old Way You Do. Any Old Way You Do. Very good title too. And penned by Howard, Roll Over and Play Dead. That's another good one. Roll Over and Play Dead. Both appear on her first LP, This Is Jan Howard Country, which became the top 10 charting LP on the U.S. Country Survey. Jan was often paired on the tour with fellow Decca artist and singer-songwriter Bill Anderson, and the pair generally participated audience reception with the singer duo on tour, with a pumped then to approach owner Bali about recording together, and Bali agreed to try to single in 1965 called I Know You Mary, but I Love You Still. It was followed by 1967 Loving You, which is top at the U.S. country chart and made the top 10 on the Canadian country track charts. The duo also debut album of the same name, which reached number 6 on the country album charts in 1968, now a success of a musical collaboration. Howard joined Anderson Road Show, also become part of the syndicated television program called The Bill Anderson Show, and because it was mostly film and Windsor, home title, Jan traveled by commercial airline to film and taping the show. Working with Anderson provided Jan with a steady source of her income. Following her divorce from Helen Howard in 1960. There you go. In 1968, Jan had 3 more top 40 hit U.S. country solo singles, including the number 16, Count Your Blessing Woman, Count Your Blessing Woman, and the number 15, My Son. The lady was inspired by a letter she wrote to her eldest son, Jimmy, who was drafted into the army to fight the Vietnam War, and despite Jan's reluctance, her middle son, Carter, Bill Anderson, owned by Lee, all encouraged her to record that. After the song became commercially successful, Jan received over 5,000 letters from soldiers and their family, and they said they felt like it was for them, as she commented it. The song was later nominated the best female country music vocal performer at the Grammy Award. Before the end of 1968, Jimmy Howard was killed in the battle at the age of 21 years old. Her son was killed at 21 years old. So sad. This is all sad story, guys. But nevertheless, I have to do it. Vietnam War was really hard on everybody. I said, well, I was 12 years old, and I used to live in Puerto Rico. There was a lot of guys, a lot of Puerto Ricans to serve, and the Vietnam War, a lot of them come really beat up, some of them with an arm, some of them with a leg. So war is bad all the way around, I would say that. Despite her son's death, Jan continued doing an appearance on Anderson Show and recording her 1969 EPONYMOUS LP, which the U.S. country album top 25, including that U.S. top 30 single, I Still Believe in Love, and When We Try, Also the N by 1970 LP. Patriotic music called For God and Country. For God and Country was a patriotic song which was inspired by the death of her son, Anderson Howard, a dual pairing and continuous similarity. As a result of the three more top 10 US and Canadian country singles throughout 1972, it is all the same to you. Again, in 1972, it is all the same to you. 1970, someday we'll be together. And 1970, Dissatisfied. 1972, and the single was also issued a corresponding duo of the LP that made the US country top. It's all the same to you. 1970, Bill and John, or John and Bill. In 1972, Howard solo release that made the US country song the top 40 twice throughout the 1970s. We had all the good things going. In 1969, Rock Me Back to Little. Yeah, Rock Me Back to a Little Rock. That was in 1970. Both appear in her 1970 top 40 LP title, Rock Me Back to Little Rock. Yeah, and that was all in 1970. 1973, 2019, 1973, 2019. Excuse me for that. I just read here a new direction and showing down. Okay. In 1973, Howard left Bill Anderson's show and his tour in secret, finding it difficult to keep up with his pace. He was then replaced by up-and-coming Mary Lou Turner, and Howard began working solo. She had a few concert dates, and before he was working again with the pick-up band, who have very good electrician, according to Howard. Some nights she performed with little no instrumentation at all. During the book engagement, she performed on the back of the flat truck. Many nights before, little and depressed and ashamed to go back to a motel and cry and go to sleep. However, she then started touring with Johnny Cash and June Cash as a part of the roadshow, along with the tour of the US, and they also ventured into Hawaii, Australia. Howard had published sang background vocals on Cash recording, including singing the line Mama Sound Tender, Mama Sound Tender, on the 1969 hit Daddy Sound Bass. Daddy Sound Bass, or Bass. The bass, yeah, BASS, okay? So, she also was a background vocalist of Cash 1963 Ring on Fire, the very, very famous song of Johnny Cash. I'm happy to see that. Yeah. Howard was from the recording career and signed with with GRT record in 1974. She was the neighbor of Nashville producer Larry Burley, who recorded her next studio album titled Sincerely John Howard. It led the single Seeing Believing, made the top of 100 on the country chart. In 1975, she was signed with the Conville Brio record in 1977. And the final three starting country song, I Hold You in My Heart, Till I Can You in My Arm, Till I Can Hold You in My Arm. It's two titles here, okay? I'll hold you in my heart, and then till I can hold you in my heart, in my arm. Two titles. Better One Alone was another to love a Rolling Stone. She also toured a part of Tammy Wynette roadshow in the late 1970s, wrote a background electric vocal for Tammy Wynette. Howard was then approached by Pete Drake to be part of the veteran era album project called Stars of the Grand Opry. Her studio album was released to the first generation label in 1981, featuring a new song and re-recording of the most popular tune. The next studio album was released in 1983 on AVI Records, and in 1983 called Tentative Love. Tentative. T-A-I-N-T-E-D. The title track was covered on the soft cell pop single. Bobo found that he did an incredible job. She did an incredible job on her song called The Atmosphere of a Moving Performer. In 1985, Howard was part of the joint venture between MCA and Dr. Records, which includes several veteran artists from the venue, self-titled to the album. It was released in 1985, produced by Billy Strange, and was a Howard last studio release album officially. In 1990, Howard slowed down her singing career. However, a spoke of her career slowed down her continued passion for singing. Her autobiography, I love to sing. I hope that is for a long time to come. God will give me an opportunity to do so. And when He tells me to quit, I hope that I have the chance to follow His advice. Very good, yeah. I agree. She mainly did perform as a part of the Grand Opry cast along with the occasional show. In 2000, Howard was introduced into the Missouri Country Music Hall of Fame and released a box set of her recorded material. She has since appeared on albums by other artists. In 2007, she recorded a duo with Bill Anderson, Banjo, for Anderson Studio release, Whispering Bluegrass. In 2017, Howard Jesse Coulter appeared on Jenny Sidley uh, studio album written by his son. Singing on the track was Still Hanging in There with Jesse. We Jesse, yeah. S or Jessy. In 2019, she celebrated her 90th birthday at the Opry, making her the show the oldest living member of the Grand Opry. The 90th birthday and the Grand Opry, you believe that? Yeah, I agree, that's amazing. Making her oldest living member of the Grand Opry. Okay, style and legacy. Howard's musical style was rooted in the country and Nashville sound genre. Her music has been described as being part of the foundational landscape of country music. Stephen Thomas Erlewine of AllMusic spoke on the singing style of the he reviewed as the very best of Wayne Stewart, John Howard CD in 2004. Howard is a strong, straight ahead of hardcore country singer style and collected under an excellent unheard pure honky tonk with Bakersfield Tangy, T-I-N-G-E. Robert K. Oman commented on the Howard Brassy Brassy singing style, noted that Decca recording was downright gusty. S-A-S-S-Y-N self-assumed. Oman also spoke on Howard legacy artists as a giant opened the door for many Nashville sound stylists as Marion West, Maggie Bowe, B.O.W.E.A., Connie Smith, Jenny Sidley, Connie Hall, and climb to the stars. Howard also remembered for her commercial success. Sandra Brennan, her music called her one of the hottest female vocalists of the 1960s. Ken Burns called her one of the most popular female country singer artists of the 1960s, early 1970s. Her legacy also being mentioned in recent years. In 2018, she was ranked among the 100 greatest women country music in the poll by Country Music Universe. In 2005, Howard single Evil on Your Mind was listed as one of the country music 500 greatest singles in the book of the Heritage by the Number. In 1971, she became a member of the Grand Opry and continued to make public appearances there until 2019, a couple years ago. Okay, here we go with the career and other professions. 1966-1983, songwriting. In addition to singing, Howard wrote songs for herself and others. One of her first release compositions was Crying for Love, which is appeared in 1966 studio album John Howard sang Evil on Your Mind. Howard's song continued to appear on her studio album over time. Self-penned songs appeared on the studio album Forgotten Country. Love is like a spinning wheel. Yeah, again, love is like a spinning wheel. Sincerely, John Howard. And star of the Grand Opry, and the song composed were also recorded by other artists. In 1966, she wrote all over but the choir. He said all over but the choir. That's what she wrote, which became a major hit for Kitty Wells. And the same year, the song was among the most frequently played tracks locally from the BMI Award. Howard later called the situation ironic because her husband Alan Howard was better known for songwriting. At the time, Howard had a separate but attended the event as a couple. They were separate, but they had no choice to attend it as a couple because Howard also penned the song with Bill Anderson, who wrote I never opened and stopped loving you. I never once stopped loving you, okay? One more time for that. Which became the major hit for Connie Smith. A pair also covered Dissatisfied, which made her head their own as a dual partnership with Howard's son. Carter also gave credit on the writing, and the song appeared on there to the album Bill and Jan, or Jan and Bill. Howard also self-penned Love is Something or Sometimes Thing. Love is Sometimes Thing. That's what she wrote, which was recorded and became a major hit for Anderson. She would also release as a single herself around the same period of time. Competition was also awarded by BMI Songwriter Award. In 1980, collaborated with Tammy Wynette in writing track when the name had been changed to the song and appeared on Wynette to the album Only Lonely Sometime. Her last writing credit on the track My Friend, a song that appeared on Howard in 1983 to the album Tentative Love. 1987, 2020, autobiography on her writing. For several years, friends told Howard that she should write an autobiography. In response, she said, yeah, I will make the great soap opera Howard has written online for a book, but she put it aside for 3 years before turning into it again. She later explained that she chose to continue writing autobiography because she became suicidal. In 1979, she was visiting a friend in Florida. It was a very bad time in my life. I was in Florida and I didn't know whether I was going to walk into the ocean or not. And I can't swim. Howard said in 2000, deciding not to end her life. She was back inside the house, and she sat on the floor and wrote so-called My Story. However, later threw the song away because it was full of bitterness. Once I started again, it was just like rolling back the years. She said in 2003, "Man, I live here in Florida. I can swim either, and I live here. But I have no choice. Yeah, if you can swim, you can swim. Uh, but there is another way to go in the water too, with a life jacket and things like that. I will say that much." The year of the book release, Howard Carr and her concert engagement to prepare completion when officially released in 1987. Autobiography was titled Sunshine Shadow, My Story. The book was published by Richardson Steinman, a company based in New York City. Sunshine the Shadow received mostly positive reviews by critics upon release. In their July 1987 review, Kirkwood's review gave the book a positive commentary. The review highlighted the story, Howard's interaction with other country music artists, and recounting of her son suicide. Kirkwood concluded that the review starting sure to appreciate by the die-hard of country fans, and by any who seek to tell of the victory and despair. Publisher Wiki gave the reviews a release in August of 1987. Reviewer of the book praised Howard's personal story but disliked the editing style of the book. That doesn't matter. Also, in the late of 1980, Howard planned that she was working on her first fiction story, short story, and a novel. Alright. In her 2015 interview, Howard planned that she still write a little bit of everything, including song, poem, and short story. Howard also said she had started 3 fiction novels, had yet to become completed, and I need to put this thing together, and I need to go through them. And I found things, and there that I forgot to vote and said, "Oh, this is pretty good. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad. Yeah, oh, this is pretty good. Oh, this is bad." That's what she meant by that. So right now I'm going to put this all together and put them in a leather bound book. Howard said, Howard also wrote how the recipe she uses. She featured the recipe for her recipe on her official website, which were updated on a monthly basis. On her recipe page, website administrator started each month. This page will be adding favorite recipes or two provided by Jan, who kept the checking back. Other profession and effort. In the late 1970s, Howard obtained her real estate license for a local company in Hendersonville, Tennessee called Lakeside Realtor. As a realtor, she sold several homes, including a local Nashville musician Jimmy Crapp, Capps. Howard remained a real estate agent for only 2 short periods of time. On her website, she commented that after a while people would bring snacks or tape, cycle tape, for her to listen rather than a potential client. My lesson is that retirement will stay there, but still pay my due, Howard wrote on her fan page. Yeah. In 2002, she appeared with Faye Dunaway in the film Chasing Heart. Other performers were featured as a cast including Rita Corlight and Ginny Shigley. After her son was killed in the Vietnam War, Howard worked to support veterans returning from the war, including with the various organizations to support American military veterans. He worked previously with Veteran Administration Veterans of Foreign War, Vietnam Veteran Organization to Howard contribute to a campaign to help raise funds for the Veteran Memorial, which was finished in 1982 from Howard. After she received the Gold Medal Merit Award for the Veteran Foreign War. I never want to be in the forefront of anything like this, but I wanted to bring the attention to who gave so much. It was for them. We would have a life we enjoy as Americans. I agree. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be free at all. I agree with that. Howard commented in 2011, since 1982, Howard was involved in a veteran-related activity in the middle of the Tennessee State University, where her son was former student. In 2017, she made an appearance at the University Veteran Memorial Service. She was present with a Gold Star badge from the school for her work with the veteran at that time. Beautiful, yeah. I love it. Lego Hill was children. For her first marriage, Howard gave birth to 3 sons, Jimmy Carey, Corky, and David. As a young child, Jimmy was hospitalized in a critical condition with spinal meningitis, meningitis. Within 4 weeks, he recovered from the illness. During the Vietnam War in 1968, Jimmy was drafted into the military. Once he received a draft notice, calling volunteer for the army. Jimmy going, I am going, he said to Howard. Having been sent to a basic training military, I was to let Jimmy come home, but he refused to accept about the situation. Howard discussed the situation with her friend and country DJ Ralph Emery. Through this assistant, Emery, Howard got in contact with the Congressman Richard Fulton. Emery found Fulton at the restaurant 9 o'clock that same night with contacted him. Fulton got permission for the military to send Jimmy home for 21 days. Her autobiography recorded the phone call she received from Jimmy that day he came home. "Mom, what do you do?" The secretary of the army himself called down here. My sergeant came out and got me and said, "Howard, go call your mother." And then he prepared to work your ass off. Howard also called Jimmy Neverness as he prepared for Vietnam. That evening before the departure, he sat her on beside, explaining his neverness, the honesty, and the next evening he flew out there at 3 o'clock in the morning. On October 1968, Jimmy was killed in action. She found out when she saw several friends arrive at the front door of her home, realizing the reason for them being there. She began screaming and crying. Howard remembered the day following Jimmy's death for her autobiography, going through the days and weeks by forcing herself to keep it going. She had trouble eating, sleeping, taking pills on a regular basis to help her throughout the anxiety and the grief and was crying when I woke up and crying when I went to sleep. She wrote in 1987, "One morning Howard made the decision to push her medicine and continue with her life as I walked into that den, and I saw a relief of Cookie and David's faces. My effort was worthwhile," she wrote. Yeah. So sad that Jimmy got killed in action. But that thing happen when you are in the war. God bless you, Jimmy. That's what I can say. God bless Jimmy. I hope you're there with God. That's the only thing I can say. Also, war is bad all around. You don't know how it's going to get started, how it's going to end. Well, how it's going to end is a bad thing. Always. That's from my experience. How our youngest son David began abusing of drugs years following Jimmy's death. Of course, prior to this, he had employed on the Upper Line USA theme park where he appeared as an actor of several shows, including major roles as the cast play a real American singer. Howard then began to noticing changing behavior, including coming home late at night, having symptoms of depression. When he would ask David, he would reply saying that he was just tired. She also noted that he began associating people who provide David with substance. Eventually, he had seen a psychiatrist for the personal setback, but also found that he was using time for other reasons. On the morning of 1972, Howard found David in his bedroom dead from the self-inflicted gunshot wound. She recalled the next several days with blue, devastated by her son's suicide. She stayed in the bed for days at a time, after many weeks, grieving Howard cleared out the room and sold his Volkswagen Beetle when everything was done. I took the last look around and walked out across the door on the path, but I would never be luck, but never would be luck, she wrote. I guess her brother couldn't take it either. I guess her brother couldn't take the death of her Jimmy. That's what it is. This is a sad story, guys. Okay, let's get out of this sad story and let's read over here the graphic for you. Solo studio album, Jan Howard sang Evil in Your Mind, 1966, Bad Seed, SEED, 1966. This is Jan Howard Country, 1967. God Your Blessing Woman. Call Your Blessing Woman, 1968. Jan Howard, 1969. Forgotten Country, 1970. Rock Me Back to Little Rock, 1970. Love Is Like Spinning Wheel, 1972. Sincerely Jan Howard, 1975. Star of Grand Opry, 1981. Tender Love, 1983. Jan Howard, 1985. Award nomination. Here we go with our Billboard Most Promising Female Country Vocalist on Wonder One, 1960 Cash Bass. Most Promising Country Music Vocalist on Wonder. And then right after that, yeah, she only won 3 times. 1961, Cash Bass, Most Promising Country Music Vocalist nominated. Billboard, the same time nominated. 1966, Cash Bass, Female Vocalist Album Single nominated. 1967, 9th Annual Grammy Award, Best Vocal Performer, for Evil in Your Mind, nominated Billboard, let me see, they're all the same. And then 1968, Country Music Association Award, Vocal Group of the Year with Bill Anderson nominated. And then Record Award, Top Vocal Duo with Bill Anderson won. 1969, the Turn Them, 1970, Turn Them, and then 1992, Tennessee Adjustment, General Distinguished Federal Medal, won. And then the same year, Missouri Country Music Hall of Fame, 2005, between 1992 and 2005, introduced. And then ROPE Award, Honest Stop Humanitarian Award, and she won that too. 2013 Songwriter Award, and she won that too. Okay guys, I finished with this autobiography of, let me see, Jan Howard, which is, I don't like too much this autobiography for one reason. It's a sad story. story. I don't like too much sad story. I can tell you that much. I believe you guys would too. But anyway, here's the background for Jan Howard. Lula Grace Johnson was her real name. March 13, 1929. Was born in Missouri, USA. Died March 28, 2020, age 91. Garlandin, Tennessee. Garlandin, Tennessee. Resting Spring Hill Cemetery, Nashville, Tennessee. Occupational singer songwriter after 1958-2020. Spouses Mel Wood, married 1945, divorced 1953. And then Laurie Smith, Smithy, 1953 to 1955. And then Helen Howard, married 1957, divorced in 1968. Maurice Asher Jr., married 1990, divorced. Children for musical career, country, Nashville sound. Capitol Record, Decca, GRT, Cornbios, VRIO, First Generation, AVI, DOT, and MCA record label. A website, janhoward.com. Okay, with that, I finished this autobiography for you guys. And this one has been a very long autobiography. It got me tired. It got me tired, really tired already. I've been here for more than an hour, almost 2 hours, I believe. This autobiography come out to be. Before I go, let me put this picture very big for you in memory of this woman. Okay? Let me put it down, let me put this other picture very big for you guys so you can see when she was young. Okay? So with that, I'm going to close it down. Thank you very much for listening to me, for supporting me. Like always, pray for yourself, pray for your family, pray there's no more wars, no more pandemic, no more corruption. We don't need any of that. Okay, we need to live in peace and harmony. God bless you guys. I'll see you in 2 or 3 days. Bye bye now.